𝐴𝐂𝐀 and Society for Advancement in Agriculture and Horticulture and Allied Society, Prayagraj, that is Allahabad, jointly organizing 2 days national webinar on advances in floriculture and landscaping. So for this function, our Honorable Vice Chancellor is a patron, and he is inaugurating our this webinar. Shortly he may join. So I heartily welcome on behalf of our university and the society to all our Honorable Vice Chancellor and today's session chairperson, Dr. Srilata Madam, and Dr. Ganga Madam, who is a speaker on traditional floriculture, and one more speaker is from 𝐀𝐆𝐑𝐈 Biotech, that is 𝐷𝐈𝐂𝐻𝐒. So I heartily welcome all the dignitaries and society members of SAHAS and dear participants. So you know, floriculture is a fast growing branch of horticulture. Now it is called as industry. Sometimes we refer as an industry. It is not a floriculture. Now we are calling it a floriculture industry, because so it is giving a lot of importance, especially of the farmer sustainability. And now we are talking about food security and nutritional security. So apart from these two securities, there is one more thing, that is aesthetic appeal and environment. These are the two important aspects for the human health. So now the marginal and small farmers and even corporate sectors, they are engaged in floriculture, especially cut flower production, and even the small farmers, they are engaged in cultivation of loose flowers. So floriculture is the additional income for the farming community for their sustainability. So you may be knowing, in India, around 3.29 lakh hectares of area is under floriculture. When you take the global floriculture area, 1/3 of global area is in India. Okay. But however, when you see the export market, our contribution is less than 1%. So it may be due to the several reasons. One is, most of our farmers, they are growing flowers under open condition, that too traditional flowers, which are consumed by the domestic market. This is one reason why they are able to export. And second thing is, our farmers are not well versed with advanced technologies like protected cultivation, fertigation, and other things. So this is the one reason that the farmers, they are not taking up the commercial cut flower production. Second thing is, another important aspect is, now in our country we are not giving much importance for the landscaping. There are several countries which are attracting the tourists only due to their landscaping. So these two things one should tackle for the prosperity of the country. So in this connection, many farmers, they have requested us to conduct such type of webinars where the farmers will get new information, especially advances in flower production and landscaping. And many nursery people also asked us to have such type of webinar. So with this background, UHS Bagalkot and SAHAS, the society, jointly planned for a webinar, so that we can make a one platform where the resource person and farmers, students can join. And now this webinar is planned, and accordingly our Honorable Vice Chancellor of UHS Bagalkot readily agreed to have this webinar. Vice Chancellor, so he has sent the consent also. He happily agreed for the inaugural also. So he is a backbone for us, always encouraging. Recently we conducted one national level training on CAD, computer aided designing on landscaping. That also motivated by our Honorable Vice Chancellor. So in this connection, so 2 days national webinar on advances in floriculture and landscaping is planned. So in this webinar, we are covering two aspects. One is cultivation of flower crops, both traditional flowers and cut flowers. Second thing is value addition. Now you may be knowing, due to several problems, especially COVID, the farmers are incurring losses. There is no market for the flowers. So second aspect is value addition. The farmers, they can add value to their product and they can store, they can market when there is market. That is second aspect. Third aspect also we are covering on landscaping. Nowadays there is a lot of importance for landscaping. So due to shortage of land and the area, now there are different concepts have come, especially vertical garden, roof garden, like that. So in this connection, we have planned this webinar covering, one is cultivation aspect of flowers, second one is value addition, third one is landscaping. So we have invited very well-known experienced speakers from Tamil Nadu. Dr. Ganga Madam is there, who is having a lot of experience on traditional flowers. And we have also approached the private sector, that is 𝐀𝐆 Biotech, which is a pioneer in supplying all exotic planting material, especially gerbera, carnation, anthuriums, etc. So readily that madam has agreed. And one more person tomorrow, that is on value addition, Dr. Gaurav Sharma from Raipur. So he is talking on that. And one more eminent person on landscaping, that is Dr. Dhanashekaran, who is a key person for this landscaping topic. And we requested our well-known chairman, that is Dr. Srilata Madam, who is a professor and head of Kerala Agriculture University Department of Floriculture and Landscaping. So with this background, now I request so I think sir has not yet joined. So with this background, I think meanwhile I will request Honorable Vice Chancellor to say a few words. With this background, we'll start our program. That is, sir is having some other important work, so he may not able to join now. So meanwhile, he may join. I think now we can start our webinar with the first session. That is the first session is on cultivation of flower crops, especially advances in cultivation of traditional flowers and cut flowers. So for this, I heartily welcome the chairman of this session, that is Dr. Srilata. Madam, just you can start your video, Dr. Srilata Madam. Hello. Srilata Madam.
Hello sir, am I here?
Yeah. Yeah. Just you show your this one, madam.
Yes,
so,
I have sir. Somebody is trying to present. That's why I share the presentation.
Ganga madam, you can share afterwards. Just you can. I will introduce chairman and speaker first. After that, we will start this.
Sir, for that, sir, excuse me, sir.
Here.
I'm going to introduce about the Sahas also, sir.
Yeah. Before going to start our technical session, so I request Bhojaraj Belkod, who is a member secretary of the society and co-organizing secretary of this webinar, to introduce the society members and tell about the society.
Good afternoon, dear webinar delegates, patron event and chairperson, and society members of the Sahas. So it is great for me to welcome today's national webinar, advances in agriculture and landscaping. And about me, many are know already, but you are new to me. So myself, Dr. Bhojaraj Belkod, co-organizing secretary of this webinar. We team Sahas is a very grateful to University Horticulture Sciences Nagalkot for supporting us. I really thank you, sir. So firstly, being a part of executive member of a society, I would like to introduce about the Sahas, this NGO, which is registered at Prayagraj in 2019 with many objectives. In that, I would like to introduce some important objectives, like set up priorities for sustainable agriculture and horticulture development with a farming system approach and a systematic linkage between a national, state, district institution of the excellence in the field of agriculture and horticulture to provide the better platform to the students, scientists, researchers, and the farmers for adopting better knowledge and motivate them to introduce a few thoughts and the knowledge by organizing a workshop, seminars, webinars, and conferences and the symposiums. Also to organize a Krishi Mela exhibitions, audio, video programs, Kisan Gostis for the better dissemination of the technical knowledge that is seed, fertilizer and a chemical and implements to the farmers. Also assist the poor students by providing a books at a minimum cost, also providing a financial support in the form of a scholarship. So to motivate the scholars, research and scientists, professors, the farmers by the providing awards in their respective fields as per dedicated by the decided by the organizing committee. So now SAS also going to introduce a journal with the name of JAL, that is Journal of Applied Agriculture and Life Sciences. Also we already registered for Agri magazines with the name Floricultur&Landscaping in English and Hindi version. For more information about the SAS, we will provide you a link in the group. If anybody is interested to take a registration for the society membership, please you can. So let's learn together with the best faculties. So again, I would like to thank Dr. Balaji sir and also many professors behind me who supported for this organizing national webinar. Thank you, sir. So now I request Dr. Balaji sir to please carry on the webinar guest lecture, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Belcode, for 1 minute. Thank you, Bojraj, for introducing your society and the members of the society. Now I requested our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Indresh sir, and he is joining, but he is not able to talk. He is telling that in between I will tell some few words to all the participants. So on behalf of the society and on behalf of the organizing committee of this webinar, I heartily welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. K.M. Indresh. So who is the backbone for us, who is the guiding force and motivating us for conducting such events. So now I also welcome very senior professor and scientist and floriculturist Dr. Narendra Dadlani sir. So sir has joined. So I'm very happy, sir. Just you have joined for this webinar. So we are very grateful for you, sir. So we want your blessing, sir. Okay. So now I heartily welcome all our delegates and the dignitaries, and I will introduce today's chairperson, Dr. Srilata Madam. So Professor and Head of Department of Floriculture and Landscape Architecture, Kerala Agriculture University, who is chairing this session. So Madam is having 24 years of experience, and she has 5 research papers and 5 chapters to book for her credit. And she is mostly expertise in indigenous ornamentals. Now this is an area where our people should work. So none of us, we are working on our own indigenous flowers which have very high potential, like even lotus. So many of us, we are not working, but Madam is having experience in indigenous ornamentals. She has developed many protocols for ex situ conservation. Now many of our ornamental plants are endangered. So she is trying for conserving them by protocol standardization, and she received IC number for 4 indigenous ornamentals and 4 orchids. So this is a great credit for her. Identified bacterial wilt resistant marigold. This is another problem. Maybe in Kerala, lot of problem is there. So Madam has developed or identified one wilt resistant marigold, and she has standardized the grafting techniques in marigold. So this is a new area. So even I visited the plot, and I visited the experimental plot. So it is a new area where marigold can be grafted and propagated or planted. So, and one more thing is she has identified one new bacterium that is causing marigold, Enterobacter 𝐻𝐿. That is his contribution. Madam is having a lot of experience on indigenous flowers, and now I request Dr. Srilata Madam to act as a chairperson for this session. Heartily welcome, Madam.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Now I will introduce Dr. M. Ganga, who is the first speaker of today's session. She is talking on advances in traditional flowers floriculture. Dr. M. Ganga, she is Associate Professor of Horticulture in TNU, Coimbatore. She is having 16 years of experience. So she has developed one jasmine variety, that is 𝐂1 star jasmine, with off-season flowering. You may be knowing there is a major problem in jasmine cultivation is they are season specific. Most of the species flowers in particular season. If you can produce off-season, there is a lot of demand for jasmine. So her contribution is she has developed one jasmine variety which is off-season variety. And dust guidelines she has developed for jasmine. And we may be knowing TNU people have got one patent for packaging technique of jasmine. So Dr. Jawaharlal and Ganga is also co-principal investigator in that project. So they have standardized this jasmine export packaging technology. Now the farmers are able to export jasmine to Dubai and America. So this is her contribution, and she has funded more than 6 other projects, externally funded projects. Madam has guided 14 students, 5 PhD and remaining MSc students, and as an editorial board member of our ISOH journal, that is Journal of Ornamental Horticulture. And she has 13 books, 17 chapters, and more than 75 papers for her credit, and 28 practical manuals and 24 popular articles for her credit. So we have very good resource person for today's first session, that is advances in traditional floriculture. So now I request Dr. M. Ganga to deliver lecture on advances in traditional floriculture. Thank you, madam.
Ganesh, unmute.
Agriculture.
Unmute panel. Yeah.
Your voice is audible, madam. No problem.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening, madam.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You can start.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. All the dignitaries who are online to join this webinar. My respects to the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Bagalkot University, who is also online and who will be joining shortly. And respectable Dr. Dadlani. It's a long time since I saw you, sir. My respects and salutations to you. Can you hear me, sir? Hello?
This slide is not visible.
Balaji, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am, your voice is very much clear.
Yes, you are audible.
Am I audible, Balaji?
Yes, madam.
Dr. Dengo, you are audible. Okay. Dadlani, sir, good evening, and how are you? Very nice seeing you, sir. You're all our mentors. Thank you for joining, sir.
My pleasure.
And I'm very happy for the opportunity given to me. I thank all the organizers, Dr. Balaji, Dr. Bojraj, and Srilata ma'am, who's a very good friend of us. Thank you, everybody. And I'm happy to discuss a few points which I have experienced in the past few years in floriculture. So I think the topic I was given is traditional flowers. So I would like to discuss a few issues about what are the advances and the prospects in traditional flowers. So I think I just have a word, a saying here. Flowers are indispensable in human life, and we know they bounce back to life even after a crisis like Corona. So I think we have to bounce back to life just like the flowers have done after the Corona crisis. So I think this is a short introduction about India's floriculture scenario. So we know it is a huge opportunity sector involving low volume and high value crops. And many of the disadvantages which are there associated with agriculture have become advantages for horticulture, especially floriculture, like very poor soils, and also small holdings, land holdings, which are all disadvantages in agriculture, are a very good merit for floriculture, in fact. So all these have helped in a very rapid growth of India's floriculture sector, which is growing at 24%, and the global rate is 15%. So there are immense potentials, and this is because of the innumerable advantages our country has. We all know that. So I just want to start with this. Now, talking about traditional flowers, am I audible, sir? Okay.
Yes, I'm able to hear you. Please continue. Please continue. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So, traditional flowers of India. So, traditional flowers, those are the flowers which have high heritage and cultural values. We know that. But we cannot call all of them as indigenous flowers. So, under traditional flowers, we include those which are indigenous and native to our country, and also those which have been introduced from other countries but have established very strong roots. So this is the list of crops I'm putting under traditional flowers which are doing very well in our country, contributing to the floriculture development. So jasmine, lotus, marigold, tuberose, crocandra, miriam, hibiscus, pinwheel jasmine, which we call as Taberna montana, ixora, champaka, and many more. Now, first of all, I would like to discuss jasmine here because it is the most important traditional flower crop of our country, as we all know. And jasmine has a very big cultural and heritage importance in the country. We know that, and because of its varied uses, including using as a loose flower, using for a value addition. As a loose flower, we know it is used for making garlands and all those decorations. So we don't have any kind of occasions in our country where we don't find these flowers, especially jasmines, all these traditional flowers. And apart from use as loose flower, they are also potential crops for value addition. Particularly floral concrete extraction, which have a very important place in the perfumery, cosmetic industries. And another important use of jasmine is its medicinal values. We know man is coming back to nature after having gone through all the hazards which have come due to artificial lifestyles, chemicals, and all those things. So now aromatherapy is gaining a lot of importance, and natural drinks like jasmine tea are also gaining a lot of importance because of their medicinal values. Now the jasmine growing countries are many. I won't say many, a few. India tops the list. So we have India, France, Italy, Morocco, Algeria, Spain, Egypt, and all those countries. And we must be very proud because our country is world's leading jasmine producer. And the growing states, jasmine growing states in our country are about 6 or 7. Again, Tamil Nadu is the leading producer, followed by Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, and West Bengal. And in recent days, export of jasmine flowers has also formed a lot of growing importance. So let's talk about it in the next few slides. So this is a small introduction about what is the scenario now with regard to the area. So around 15,583 hectares are under jasmine now, and in Tamil Nadu, which is the leading producer, I said. So I would like to list out a few breakthroughs in jasmine, which have helped in promoting jasmine cultivation and marketing and all that, also export. So we have many improved varieties which have been developed and which are being used by the farmers for cultivation. Export packaging technology, because jasmine export has increased on a large scale in recent days. Value addition, the geographical indication status given to many of the jasmines of India, the employment generation scope, women empowerment opportunities, and also sustainable organic farming. So I think many of you would ask me why sustainable organic farming for flowers, because sustainable organic farming is one topic which has been debated for years and years, but they did not find a place. This concept did not find a place in flower cultivation. But now, in recent days, even organic farming of flowers, particularly jasmine, is finding importance because of its medicinal values and because of its use in the aromatherapy, where people are looking for toxic-free flowers. So we also have got a few inquiries, and we have happily started the work on standardizing cultural practices for organic farming of jasmine. Now, talking about the improved varieties we have in jasmines, we have 200 species of jasmine reported, of which 40 have been reported to inhabit India. And of these 40, only 3 have gained commercial importance till recent years. So they are Grandiflorum, Auriculatum, and Sambak. And in recent days, many of the unexploited or underutilized species are also gaining a lot of importance. So the genetic resources potentials of jasmine and other flower crops are now being utilized to their fullest potential. So now here I put a list of the TNAU varieties. So as you all know, TNAU is the pioneer in jasmine research, in fact jasmine breeding, and along with the IIHR, we have done a lot of work, of course, with the support from all other institutions also. So these are the varieties of jasmine from TNAU. We have in Auriculatum, in Jasminum auriculatum, we have 3 varieties, Pari Mullai, Kovan Mullai, Kotu Mullai. And in Grandiflorum, we have 2 varieties called Kovan Pichi. Pichi is the Tamil name for Grandiflorum, and Kotu Pichi. And recently, we have developed a variety called Kovan Star Jasmine in the species Jasminum nitidum. So there was not much research done in this species. So we had taken it for its year-round flowering potential, and we have come out with a selection called Kovan Star Jasmine. And of course, the most important of all the varieties is Ramanathapuram Guddumalli, belonging to Jasminum Sambak, which occupies more than 40% of jasmine area. And then we have IIHR varieties, Arka Aradhana from in Sambak, Arka Surabhi in Grandiflorum, and Arka Arpan in Multiflorum. So these varieties have helped a lot in improving the production, the productivity, and also the export. And I would like to give a few a little information about the new jasmine variety called Kovan Star Jasmine, which we released from TNAU in 2019. So this, as I already told, it is a variety belonging to the species called Jasminum nitidum. So Jasminum nitidum is a species of jasmine which has potential to flower throughout the year, that is 12 months of the year, and it gives peak flowering during the lean seasons, that is November to February, which we call off-season in the other commercial species, that is Sambak, Auriculatum, and Grandiflorum. So this is the most important trait of this variety. Apart from which, as you see here, it has attractive bold buds which are pink tinged. They are comparable with the Grandiflorum varieties because the flowers resemble Grandiflorum flowers, but they are darker in tinge. They have a milder fragrance, and the keeping quality is longer. We have studied all this, and they are easy to pluck and highly suitable for string making. Because as you see here, they are bolder buds, the size of the bud in terms of length as well as
night ஒரு 7 மணிக்கு வரும்.
Is very high here. So this long corolla tube and bolder buds makes it very, very amenable, makes this variety amenable for plucking, easy plucking and string making, easy string making. That is value addition. Why I talk about plucking here is jasmine is one crop which is very, very labor intensive, and more than 70% of the cost of production in jasmine goes for harvesting charges, because it needs to be harvested every day. And harvesting is a skill-oriented cultural practice where the right stage of flower bud has to be taken from the plant, because the stage of harvesting of the flower bud in jasmine has a very big impact on its quality as well as its shelf life. So this variety has these merits, and we also have taken up the consumer preference studies. So it has fared very well, and it has an added advantages like it has a very good attractive plant architecture. The glossy green leaves with contrast pink colored flower buds and star-shaped pure white flowers of this particular variety makes it also a very attractive or decorative ornamental, which also people have shown interest in growing in their home gardens and temples and all those places. So it is, apart from its use as loose flower, it is also suitable for ornamental gardening. And it is relatively, or I would say completely free of pests and diseases. Till now, we have recorded only one particular pest called gallery worm, and we have analyzed with the help of our entomologists, who have said that this is not a very damaging pest in jasmine. So it is relatively free of pests and diseases also. And another big advantage of this variety is that with all these merits, it can be a very potential supplement for the local white kakada. So till now we did not have a substitute for kakada. Kakada is also a variety which fares well because it has off-season flowering potential, but it has a little lesser preference because of the very low level of fragrance in the flowers. So this Nitidum Q1 star jasmine, we have observed that it has higher level of fragrance compared to local white kakada. So all these merits have helped in this flower variety taking off, and now we have started giving, we have in fact given planting materials throughout the state and also to some of the farmers outside Tamil Nadu also, and hoping that it would do well in the days to come. So these are the pictures showing the buds, and we have compared it with the Czech variety Jasminum grandiflorum, and also the local white kakada. Now, as I already told you, the most striking feature of this variety, Q1 star jasmine, is that it is year-round flowering. I've just given a chart here. Hope it is. Can you see the chart here, where I've compared the flowering pattern of this Nitidum species, the variety Q1 star jasmine of Nitidum, with the commercial varieties, that is grandiflorum, sambuc and auriculatum. So we see here sambuc and auriculatum flower for 8 months in a year, and grandiflorum flowers for 6 months in a year. So they are highly seasonal, whereas Nitidum has shown year-round flowering. There are peaks and leans in its flower yield, but it gives flowers throughout the year, which has and this off-season flowering potential has helped this variety to take off. So these are the details about Nitidum, and this Q1 star jasmine, we have used it in value addition in various ways, like using it alone, singly, Nitidum flowers, and we have combined it with tuberose so that the level of fragrance would improve, and also it gives a contrast. The pink and white color gives a good contrast, and we have made garlands, and this is how it looks in hair adornment. This is our PG student, so we got very good feedback with respect to its utility as for hair adornment. Now we have also worked out the cost economics of off-season flowering potentials of star jasmine, because only if we are able to convince the farmer that he would be able to get additional income through the off-season flowering potential of Nitidum, we would be able to convince him. So we were able to convince the farmers because this gives off-season flowering. And as we see here, the cost-benefit ratio has worked out to be higher than the Czech variety grandiflorum. This is because grandiflorum flowers for only 6 months in a year, whereas this flowers 12 months in a year. And we have very high fluctuations in the prices of jasmines, as you all know. It ranges from 50 rupees per kg to even 2,000 sometimes during the off season. So this particular 𝐂1 star jasmine gives flowers during off season. I think we can move it. Yes, as you see here, during the off season, it gives around during off season it gives around 2 tons. So the total yield is around 7 tons, 5 tons during the on season, and 2 tons during the off season. This very low quantity of 2 tons can also give a very good income, because during off season, the flowers on an average, the price of Nitidum flowers is around rupees 350 per kg. So this is how the cost economics have been worked out, and we got very good response from the consumers during our market analysis. Yes. And this is about the improved varieties we have in jasmine. Apart from that, we have also taken up a lot of work, research work, need-based research work on the underutilized jasmine species, because as we all know, there are a lot of reports about the off-season flowering potential or the year-round flowering potential of jasmine species, but they have not been utilized till now because there was no scope for them. But now, even during the off-season, the demand for jasmines is very high, and not only the domestic market demands for jasmine flowers, there is also a very big demand from the export markets. So this is where these underutilized jasmine species have come to play a very big role, and we have started using them in the crop improvement programs. Then we've come out with many improved selections in them. So these are a few other species which are also faring well with the year-round flowering potential. Apart from Nitidum, we have multiflorum. We already have a variety of multiflorum called 𝐴𝐿𝐼 from 𝐼𝐻R, and as learned from the feedback we got from 𝐼𝐻R, this variety was promoted more as an ornamental plant because its off-season flowering potential has not now in jasmine and multiflorum, which is normally multiflorum is white in color. The kakada is white in color, but this is a pink color type, flowering type, which also has, in fact, this multiflorum is known as winter jasmine as per literature. It's called winter jasmine because its peak flowering coincides with the winter months, which is a great advantage for jasmine growers and the consumers, because we don't get the commercial species during the off season, November to February. Whereas, so Nitidum flowers throughout the year with leaves and peaks. Multiflorum is another species also which has a lot of potential because it flowers highest during the winter months. So this also has mild fragrance. So this is also one potential crop which we are now trying to bring into commercial cultivation. So apart from that, we have Calophyllum and Flexile also. Yes. So we also have some mutants which we have induced through physical and chemical mutagenesis, and they also include white flowering grandiflorum types, which also have very good market as loose flowers and also have high concrete content. So these are all need-based research which we have taken up, depending based on requirements from farmers and industries. Yes, and another issue which we are working on in jasmine is breeding for alternaria leaf blight resistance. So grandiflorum is one species which is highly susceptible to alternaria leaf blight. This doesn't affect the other species much. So more than 60% of crop loss happens due to leaf blight in grandiflorum pink and white types. So we have identified some from the population of mutants, we can call it putative mutants, which were generated through physical and chemical mutagenesis. We have been able to identify few promising mutants which are showing resistance to this leaf blight. So this is also underway. This research is also underway. And another area which is gaining importance now, in research, is interspecific hybridization in jasmine. So why I'm showing all these issues related to research which is ongoing now is jasmine is a very potential crop which has not been utilized fully. The genetic resources are very, very valuable and there is a long way to go. We can come out with a lot of improved varieties, and we all know there is no hybrid till date in jasmines because of its genetic makeup. It has a lot of incompatibility barriers, both pre-fertilization, post-fertilization barriers. So we have taken up. So during 1970s, work was initiated in DNA for interspecific hybridization, and also work was has been reported from 𝐼HR, but then there was no breakthrough afterwards. It was not taken up further, and now we have revived this breeding work in jasmine, because the reason why is, though we know there are reports which say that interspecific hybridization in jasmine is not very successful, we have revived it because with the innovative tools like embryo rescue, we can bring out hybrids in jasmine which will have all the desirable traits we are looking for, because the commercial varieties we have now are lacking in any one important trait. For example, let us take the Sambuck varieties, grandiflorum and auriculatum varieties. As I told you till now, all of them have very good yield potential, quality, fragrance and all of them, but they are highly seasonal. So we are going into interspecific hybridization to help in gene introgression, so that the year-round flowering potential available in underutilized species can be introgressed into these commercial species. So we have come out with good encouraging results, and we are planning to go in for tools like embryo rescue, which can help in overcoming the barriers, the post-fertilization barriers, and we can definitely bring out hybrids in the future. And that is all about the varieties and the need-based research we are taking up in jasmine. And next is an improved export packaging technology for jasmine flowers. So we all know in recent days, apart from the rapid growth in demand for jasmine flowers for the domestic market, there is a very large demand from the export markets also. The reasons are the Indian population settled in other countries, and also for requirement for concrete extraction, which is used for perfumery, and also, as we already discussed, aromatherapy, which is gaining a lot of importance in recent days to combat depression-related issues. Decline. Yes, and so the countries which export jasmine are Gulf, Singapore, USA. This Gulf, Singapore, which are nearby countries, and USA, which is a distant overseas market, has also started exporting flowers. And there is a need for developing, there was a need in fact, because we have come out with an improved export packaging technology, which is being commercially used by exporters. So there was a need. We collaborated with the industries and the jasmine exporters under an ICR-sponsored project, NAIP project, in which we had worked for more than 6 years, in which we were guided by all our mentors. And there we have been able to come out with an improved packaging technology, export packaging technology for jasmine flowers. So before we go into the details of the description of the technology, this is the supply chain of jasmine flowers, especially for the export market. So harvesting in jasmine starts as early as 5:30 a.m. in the morning, because the flowers, only when they are harvested early in the morning when the temperatures are low, they are able to keep fresh, and even the fragrance level remains intact. So then they are brought to the local market, and then they are auctioned in the market, and then they are brought to the exporting unit, where they undergo the process of value addition, which we'll see in the later slides, and then they are packaged, and then they are sent to the distant markets through different channels, as we see here. So from Coimbatore it goes to Cochin Airport, and it reaches the Dubai market, which takes around 24 to 30 hours. And the other market, which is, so this we call as short distance overseas market, because it takes just 24 to 30 hours, whereas the long distance overseas market is 36 to 40 hours, that is New York. And here we have another route. So to cater to this supply chain requirement, we have worked out through our PhD students' research and many projects we undertook, which have given us results, and we were able to standardize an export packaging technology. So this is a packaging technology to send jasmine flowers to Dubai, which we call as a short distance market, which takes around 24 hours. So the fresh flowers, they are first treated with boric acid. They are made into flower strings, because that is how the people want it there. And then they are treated with boric acid, which helps in delaying the onset of senescence and browning of the flowers, which is a quick dip method. And then the treated jasmine strings. Hello, Balaji, am I audible?
Audible. You are audible.
Okay. So the treated jasmine strings are then packed in CFB boxes, corrugated fiberboard boxes. This is sufficient for a short distance market like Dubai, and then it is airlifted. So these are the corrugated fiberboard boxes in which we pack the jasmine flowers using some lining materials, butter paper lining materials. Whereas for the long distance market, that is USA, we need to go for a different technology, because the flowers reach the market taking a longer time, that is more than around 40 hours. So jasmines are very perishable, we know that. So here what we do is the pre-treatment with boric acid is done, and then we go for a different kind of packaging material and gel ice cushioning. So here we use what is known as ice gel. So this ice gel helps in maintaining the temperature at very low levels. So at packing, the temperature is around 4 degrees C when we use this gel ice inside the box. When it reaches the destination after 40 hours, the temperature is maintained at around 16 degrees, which is okay, which is tolerable by the jasmine flowers. It doesn't go above 16 degrees. So the gel ice cushioning is given, and the flower strings, pre-treated flower strings are packed in small boxes, which in turn are put in larger boxes, thermocol boxes. So this thermocol box acts as an insulator to help maintenance of this low temperature at 16 degrees when it reaches the destination. And these aluminum foil lined thermocol boxes have been found to be very suitable for exporting to USA. So these two technologies, that is the packaging technology for Dubai and for USA, that is we call it the short distance, long distance packaging technologies, have taken off very well, and now they are being used, followed by the jasmine exporters. And we have feedback from them that the post-harvest losses, which are as high as 40% in jasmine, have come down to 10% and now even lesser. And now with nanotechnology techniques, we are also trying to keep the fragrance intact, because the fragrance level is lost to a little extent. It is not 100% intact. So we are also taking up some research on this export packaging using some nanotech methods. So that is all about the export packaging of jasmines. And now we have value addition in jasmine. So value addition in jasmine is another big growing area. As you see here, we have so many avenues for value addition with the fresh jasmine flowers. So not only the domestic market demands for these value-added products of jasmine, but also there is a high demand from the countries to which we are exporting jasmine flowers also. So apart from the jasmine strings which we saw in the previous slides, we are also sending many of these value-added products which we call as hair adornments and other decors, as you see here. We have garlands. So we make garlands either with jasmines alone or combine them with other flowers for color, so that it gives a very good attractive color contrast, as you see here. We combine jasmine flower buds with celotias and also tinted flowers. These are some tinted flowers which give the color we want. So we'll discuss that later in 1 or 2 slides. We've also taken up research on that. And of course, there are many techniques available on tinting. So here, these are tinted flowers which have been used along with jasmines for making garlands. So this is a product called Veni, which is used for hair decoration, especially for bridal decorations. All these have a very good demand in the domestic market and now in the export markets also. So all these are hair adornments which are highly sought during these wedding occasions. So as we see here, these are all the hair adornments, the strings. So value addition in jasmine is a very lucrative venture. Many people are taking it up, and also it gives a lot of employment opportunities to women and all that. Let us see all those details in the next slides. And also we have perfected the technology of concrete extraction from jasmine. So we know jasmines, grandiflorum, auriculatum and sambac yield a very good concrete, which is of high demand in the world market. Of these 3 species, the concrete extracted from grandiflorum is considered to be of the highest value, and in the world trade, this is the one which gets the highest remuneration to farmers. So here, we have also standardized the technology using the solvent called hexane. So we have the technology, we have a pilot plant also established in TNAU, which is used for giving training to farmers and entrepreneurs on jasmine concrete extraction. So that is all about jasmine. We have some more details about the employment generation, women empowerment potentials it has. So I would like to go to the next important crop. I think I took more time for jasmine, not partiality, not because of partiality to show partiality, but because it is one of the most important traditional crops of our country. And we know there are 40, as I told you, there are 40 species of jasmine inhabiting India. Some of them are considered to be native of other countries like Arabia. This Nitidum, Sambac is a native of Arabia. Nitidum is a native of New Guinea. But they have been, India has been reported to be one of the primary centers of origin apart from these countries. So of these important species, multiflorum is one species which is considered to be indigenous to India. So I think we have to give a lot of importance to jasmine in the days to come also, because the crop has many more to give us in the days to come. So I think let us now move to marigold. Marigold is another important traditional flower crop which is very, very important in India with the large area under cultivation. We have many species, as we all know. We have erecta, Tagetes erecta and patula. So erecta is one which is grown for loose flower as well as for another industrial purpose. So erecta, Tagetes erecta, apart from gaining importance as a loose flower, it has now become African marigold, we call it. It has now become a very important industrial crop. So the reason is, It is a potential source of a vitamin called keratin, a pigment called keratin, which is the precursor of vitamin A. So marigold flowers, especially the African marigold flowers, are a very rich source of carotenoids, and this carotenoid has wide uses, wide range of uses, as we see here. The primary use is that it is used as a food colorant, a very safe natural colorant. Now all the chemicals are being replaced by natural colorants like xanthophyll pigment from marigold, and also marigold yields another pigment called lutein, which is also a very rich source of vitamin A. So this lutein is an important pharmaceutical raw material because it is used for overcoming or combating disorders related to deficiency of vitamin A in humans. Apart from that, it is a very important medicine for curing, as we see here. There is one particular condition called AMD, that is macular degeneration, age-related macular degeneration, which happens in the eyes. So this particular condition can be treated with lutein, which is a rich source of vitamin A. So the attendant for poultry feed, so it helps in enhancing the nutrition of the feed, and also it helps in enhancing the color of the egg yolk, apart from enhancing uses for marigold. That is why it has gained a lot of industrial importance in the past few years. So this marigold cultivation, especially through contract farming method, has become a success story in Tamil Nadu, also in Karnataka. So in Tamil Nadu, we have one particular industry called MS-AVT Natural Products. So in Satyamangalam, which works in collaboration with people in Karnataka. So they are into contract farming, and more than 250 farmers are in contract agreement with them. And this particular variety which they promote, they are called the L3 series of hybrids, which are high sources, very potential sources of xanthophyll. We have some varieties in the local collections also which have high xanthophyll content. We have also taken up some research on that, because these varieties which AVT promotes are from USA. So now work is also going on for breeding varieties which have higher xanthophyll content. And also a lot of agro techniques have been developed for improving or enhancing the xanthophyll content in jasmines. We are recommending biofertilizers, biostimulants, and also many micronutrients which have yielded very good results in enhancing, as we see here. The xanthophyll content had increased to almost 2 grams per kg of fresh flowers. So this kind of research was also taken up, and the technology has been disseminated, which is being used by the end users, the contract farmers. And the next crop, I think we took a little more time on jasmine, so now let us just discuss a few important potentials about the other crops. Now tuberose, as we all know, so this is a crop which is native to Mexico. So we call it traditional crop because it has established very strong roots in our country. So it is being used for many purposes. So we know the loose flower, the single type varieties go for loose flowers, the double types go for cut flowers. So garland making is with tuberose flowers and other flowers like coxcomb and the greens and all that, the aromatic greens, and also chrysanthemum marigold is very popular with high demand in the markets. And of course, these are all the adornments which we make with the tuberose, which have a very good demand. And see, this is tuberose made with, garlands made with tuberose and other flowers. These are rose petals. So these have a very good demand during the bridal occasions, because they give a very rich look to the garlands. And these are all tinted flowers. So I just want to give a little information about tinting. We've also taken up some work on that, and what different we have done is, because there's a lot of work already reported. So what are the natural dyes which are suitable for tinting in tuberose? We have identified a few dyes which give different hues of colors as we see here, and they have been used in garland making along with white tuberose and other flowers as we see here. And the market study has also given very encouraging results. And yes, export packaging is also picking up for tuberose, because apart from jasmine flowers, there is a demand from the export markets for tuberose flowers also. So research for that also has been perfected here. And I would like to give some details about lotus, because talking about traditional flowers and not talking about lotus will make it incomplete. Lotus, we know it's a national flower, and we must be happy that it is indigenous to our country. There are many species in lotus. As we see here, the Indian lotus is Nilambo nucifera. We also have what is known as American lotus, which is Nilambo lutea. So this Nilambo nucifera is the Indian lotus, which has a lot of potentials, and we have to take it forward. I think a lot of efforts are also going on in this regard. So we know there are a number of uses. It is a crop with all its parts being useful. As we see here, it's used as a food. It's used as a tea, which has medicinal properties, because it is rich in antioxidants. It has a lot of medicinal values, and many of its parts give oils which are used for cosmetic purposes also, because they help in nourishing the skin and many other purposes. So this is a crop which has a lot of scope, which we have to take forward. Also some research and development is going on in lotus. And rose, of course, we know. Rose, the loose flower type of rose, which we call the scented rose, is also a very, very important crop in Tamil Nadu and many other states also, including Karnataka. And all of us must have heard and felt very disheartened how these rose bushes were cut away and destroyed during the corona crisis, because there were no markets, there were no takers. But again, as I told you in the beginning, all the flowers are bouncing back, and floriculture will stay. So we have many species which are good as loose flowers, and also which yield oils, essential oils, which go into the perfumery, and also due to its medicinal value, it's used in aromatherapy. And there are many products, edible products made from roses, of course we know that. And the other crops, I would like to take 5 more minutes, Balaji, is it?
No problem, madam. You can continue.
To rush through, including Crocandra, again a very important traditional crop of our nation. So it is it was very important in earlier years, and now it has lost a little of its importance, but it's coming back, and it has many merits, like the contrast color, long shelf life of flowers, lightweight, and it is compatible with other flowers like jasmines and tuberose in garland making, and those products have a very high value in the market. And we have Gomphrena again, which is also a very important loose flower crop. We have Ixora also, which is catching up very fast in recent days, because Ixora, we have many colors as you see here. We have many species, and they are very potential loose flowers. They are also used for garland making. Chrysanthemums, we have many loose flower types. We have Co1, Co2 and MDU from TNAU, which are potential as loose flowers. And also a lot of work is being taken up in hibiscus, which is a very potential crop, hibiscus potential crop, because it's not only an important loose flower garden crop, it also is a very important, medicinally important flower crop. And now a lot of products are being made from this. A lot of research is going on in TNAU also, like in other institutions. The antioxidant potentials of hibiscus is very, very high, So it has a lot of medicinal properties, and so it is being used for extraction of natural colors, and also as a health drink because it is rich in antioxidants. And this ixora and many other flowers, Tabernamontana, they have become success stories not only in Tamil Nadu, in other states, also in Andhra Pradesh. They are picking up. See, Tabernamontana is also picking up very fast in Tamil Nadu now, because another reason why all these flowers are coming into the market now is we don't get jasmines during the off season, though we have many strategies, some varieties also helping in giving jasmine flowers during the off season. The volume of flowers available during off season, especially the jasmine flowers, are very less, and so this is compensated by using other flowers, other potential flowers like Tabernamontana. This is a year-round flowering crop which is now growing up very fast as an important commercial loose flower crop. And then coming to value addition in Tabernamontana, this is also a potential crop. The buds have very good shelf life, and because of its white glossy buds, it goes along very well with the other flowers in making value added ornaments. Floral jewelry is another big venture which is growing fast, because there is a lot of demand for these floral ornaments, floral jewelry ornaments which are made exclusively with flowers, and there are many success stories in our country. This, as we see here, and again, many of the traditional flowers are rich sources of natural food colorings. So we know with all these hazards and these crises coming up now, we are going back to nature. So the requirement for natural food colorings is very high. So all these flowers, hibiscus, ixora, nedium, quisqualis, all these are very rich sources. Even acacia, they are very rich sources of natural color, which are also safe. And of course, women empowerment with floriculture. As we see here, so women are involved in all stages of floriculture industry. See, starting from the planting up to value addition, as we see here. So, floriculture is a highly women-friendly venture. We all know that. So, the opportunities for women empowerment is very, very high. And what we studied through our project, ICR-sponsored projects under NAIP, is that roughly in jasmine value addition, especially which goes for export market, 800 self-help group women are being engaged at the rate of 4 hours per day, and each one is paid around rupees 250 per day. And this happens for 260 days in a year. So this is the quantum of employment generation it creates for women, not only for women, for other youth, unemployed youth who are involved in packing, the exporting related activities also. Yes, we have many other crops. Magnolia champaka is another important traditional crop which I would like to mention here. Another indigenous crop which is also gaining a lot of importance for its use as loose flower, and also for its highly valuable essential oil which goes into the perfumery as well as pharmaceutical industries. So there are many more crops also. This Manoranjitam, we call it, Arta botrytis odoratissimus, which is also another important fragrant flower which has high potential. And we must acknowledge the fact that many of the indigenous ornamental plants of Indian origin, have been introduced to other countries like Europe, and they have become very popular there. So we can also bring up these crops because there's a lot of potential, there is a lot of demand also. Yes, all these. See, for example, the Tulipa stellata is one indigenous tulip species which has a lot of potential. It is an important genetic resource which we can use in breeding programs and also for making it an important flower crop. So all these are underutilized indigenous flowers. There is a long way to go with a lot of scope for us in floriculture. And I think I would like to come to the end. Crisis management is very, very important in floriculture. I think we have learned good lessons during this corona crisis. So Corona crisis should not stay long. Let us pray to God. But then we must be prepared. We must prepare our farmers to face these kind of crises in future. So this is the kind of disheartening dumping of flowers which has happened during Corona crisis. And as requested by ICR, all the institutions, we have given our inputs with respect to our regions, what kind of strategies should be followed by the farmers, like pruning the perennial crops so that the flowering is delayed, and nitrogenous fertilization so that vegetative growth is boosted up and flowering is delayed. So there are many more things. Value addition. So many farmers turned up to us asking what are the opportunities for value addition. One farmer from Ooty wanted to know if there is opportunity for extracting oil from liliums. So we couldn't give answers to all of these people, but I would like to mention there are many entrepreneurs. For example, there is one person called Bala Shiva Prasad who gave a very encouraging webinar last week. And he has given us a lot of encouragement, like they are all supporting the farmers in coming out of the crisis. So we as institutions are also responsible for helping the farmers come out successfully without much of damage from this crisis. So I think we have to, this is one area we have to work out in the future. So where flowers bloom, so does hope. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, madam, for your nice presentation and very useful information, sharing very useful information.